Hello and welcome to this overview of the tanking ability changes in the current Mists of Pandaria Beta. These changes to abilities aim to move tanking towards a more active style. This means tanks will be generating resources for use on damage mitigation abilities rather than using those resources to generate threat. And for a quick look at the changes made to Protection Warrior tanking in the current Mists of Pandaria Beta. The way in which protection tanks use rage has been greatly changed. Main damaging abilities no longer cost any rage. This includes Shield Slam, Thunderclap, Revenge, and Devastate. Heroic Strike and Cleave still cost rage, but only have 1.5 second cooldowns. Rage is primarily generated from Charge, which generates 20 rage, Shouts, which generate 20 rage, Shield Slam, which generates 10 rage, and Auto Attacks, which generate 6 or 7 rage. There are also several effects which cause rage generation to be increased for a short period of time. Your rage is mainly used for damage mitigation abilities such as Shield Block. And a look at the Protection Warrior abilities in the current beta. Heroic Throw now has its baseline 3-second silence built in. Revenge now has a 4.5 second cooldown and has the same conditions required for its usability, however it now also strikes 2 additional nearby targets. Shield Barrier is a new mitigation ability for Protection Warriors. This ability has a 1.5 second cooldown and costs 60 rage. It absorbs a set amount of damage lasting 6 seconds, and this absorption amount is increased by attack power. The Shield Block ability now has a 1.5 second cooldown and costs 60 rage. This ability causes you to block every melee attack for 6 seconds, and these blocks can be critical blocks. Thunderclap now applies the Weakened Blows effect, which reduces physical damage done by enemies by 10%. And now for a look at the passives for Protection Warriors. Bastion of Defense gives additional block chance and reduces the cooldown on Shield Wall. Blood and Thunder causes Thunderclap to now apply Deep Wounds. Deep Wounds causes your Mortal Strike, Bloodthirst and Devastate to cause the target to bleed over 15 seconds. Enrage causes critical strikes with melee abilities and critical blocks to enrage you. While enraged, you generate 50% more rage from normal melee attacks for 6 seconds. The Critical Block Mastery increases your chance to block and critically block. Sword and Board has a chance to reset the cooldown on Shield Slam and cause it to generate 5 additional rage for 5 seconds. Ultimatum causes your Devastate to have a chance to cause your next Heroic Strike or Cleave to be free. Unwavering Sentinel grants additional stamina and armor value from items. Vengeance is still in as passive for warriors. And now for a look at Protection Paladin tanking in the current Mists of Pandaria Beta. Firstly, the notable changes to the Protection Paladin's abilities. All Paladins now gain Devotion Aura, which is the new version of Aura Mastery, granting Silence and Interrupt immunity and reducing all magic damage taken by 20% for all group members, lasting 6 seconds with a 3-minute cooldown. Divine Protection has been changed. It still has its 1-minute cooldown, however it now just reduces magical damage taken by 40% for 10 seconds. Hammer of the Righteous now has a slightly longer 4.5 second cooldown, the same as Crusader Strike. It now causes the Weakened Blows effect, lowering enemies' physical damage done by 10% for 30 seconds. Your Judgment ability now generates 1 charge of Holy Power for Protection Paladins. Shield of the Righteous is the most notably changed ability. It now has a required cost of 3 Holy Power, and it reduces the physical damage you take by 30% for 3 seconds after using this ability, and grants the Bastion of Glory effect. Bastion of Glory increases the strength of your next Word of Glory cast on yourself by 35%, and this effect stacks up to 5 times. The Word of Glory ability now has a 1.5 second cooldown as base, however it no longer applies the damage absorption shield for any overhealing it does. And now a look at the passives gained by all Protection Paladins. Grand Crusader is the proc that resets the cooldown on Avenger's Shield and causes it to generate Holy Power. Guided by the Light grants additional stamina and block chance, reduces your chance to be crit, removes the global cooldown on Word of Glory, and grants spell power purely from attack power, meaning you cannot gain a benefit to spell power from other sources. All Paladins gain Heart of the Crusader, which is the replacement for Crusader Aura, and it increases mount speed by 20%. Judgments of the Wise allows your judgment to grant you 1 charge of Holy Power. Divine Bulwark is the Protection Paladin Mastery. It increases the effectiveness of Shield of Righteousness and Bastion of Glory, and also increases the chance to block melee attacks. Sanctity of Battle allows haste to lower the cooldown on main damage abilities. Sanctuary causes you to take 15% less damage and gain 10% more armor from items. Supplication guarantees a crit on your next flash of light after killing an enemy that gives experience or honor. And Vengeance is still gained as passive. Here is a quick overview of the Blood Death Knight tanking changes in the current Mists of Pandaria Beta, with the Blood Death Knight being the least changed of the 4 tanking specs. There have not been too many changes to Blood Death Knight abilities, and any changes that were made are not too major for the most part. Anti-Magic Shell now generates runic power from the damage it absorbs as a baseline effect. Rune Strike has been noticeably changed. It no longer has a threat modifier on its ability, and it triggers a 1 second global cooldown at all times. As a Blood Death Knight, the cooldown on Outbreak is back to 1 minute, up from the 30 seconds it's currently been changed to on live. The Dash Strike ability has been slightly changed. It now once again requires the attack to hit in order for the healing portion of the ability to go off. However, Death Strike cannot be parried, so it can only be dodged or miss. And to look at the noteworthy passives gained by all Blood Death Knights. Blood Parasite is the same as it is on live, summoning bloodworms that heal you and your party. Blood Rites is your conversion of Frost and Unholy runes to Death runes when they are used. Improved Blood Presence, which gives you additional rune regeneration and reduced chance to be crit. Your Mastery of Blood Shield is the same as it is on live, granting you the Absorption Shield from Death Strike healing. Death Knights now gain On a Pale Horse as a passive, reducing the duration of movement impairing effects and increasing mount speed. Sanguine Fortitude is your improvement to Icebound Fortitude for tanking. Scarlet Fever applies the Weakened Blows effect to enemies afflicted with your Blood Plague, causing them to deal 10% reduced physical damage. The Scent of Blood passive has been noticeably changed. It still generates runic power when it procs off auto attacks, but it also gives you a buff that increases the healing and minimum healing of your next Death Strike within 20 seconds by 20%, and this effect can stack up to 5 times. You still have your baseline Vengeance passive. Veteran of the Third War passive gives you a small increase to stamina. Will of the Necropolis is another passive, the same as it currently is on live. And now for a look at the changes to the new Guardian Druid tanking in the current Mists of Pandaria Beta. The way in which tanking Druids use Rage has been changed. Main damaging abilities no longer cost Rage. This includes Mangle, Lacerate, Thrash, and Swipe. Rage is only generated by certain abilities, which are Mangle, Auto Attack, Primal Fury procs, and Enrage. And now a look at the changes to abilities for tanking Druids. Bear Hug is a new ability that has a 1 minute cooldown. It stuns the target for 3 seconds, dealing 10% of the Druid's health and damage every second, and the Druid is immobilized during this. Berserk has been slightly changed. It now just causes Mangle to hit 3 targets and halves the ability costs of cat form abilities. Frenzied Regeneration now has a 1.5 second cooldown and instantly converts up to 60 rage into a certain amount of health. Lacerate causes damage and bleed over time, and each tick of this bleed has a 12% chance to reset the cooldown on Mangle. Mangle causes damage and generates 5 rage. Maul costs 30 rage and does additional damage to bleeding targets. Might of Ursok is a new ability with a 3 minute cooldown. This ability increases your health and maximum health by 30% for 20 seconds. Savage Defense is now an on-use ability which costs 60 rage with a 1.5 second cooldown. It increases your chance to dodge by 45% for 6 seconds. This ability has 3 charges which have an individual 8 second cooldown on them. This means after using the ability, a charge will be added back on after 8 seconds. Skull Bash now also increases a victim's spell mana cost by 10% for 10 seconds. Stampeding Roar now removes all roots and snares on the targets it affects. The Thrash ability causes Weakened Blows, which reduces the physical damage done by enemies by 10%. And now a look at the passives for tanking Druids. Leader of the Pack is in the same form as it is on live. Nature's Guardian is the tanking Druid mastery and it increases your armor. Nurturing Instinct grants nature spell power based on agility. Primal Fury grants a chance to generate 15 rage every time you crit with an auto attack or mangle. Thick Hide provides increased armor from bear form, reduces magical damage taken, and reduces chance to be crit. Vengeance is given as a base passive.